Hey everybody, what's going on? The Montreal Canadiens are coming off of a very interesting 4-3 loss in a 12-round shootout to the Pittsburgh Penguins on Wednesday. There's a lot to dive into from that game as well as what we saw last weekend. Before we do that, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It's as easy as clicking the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of this video. Now, there's a lot to talk about with the Montreal Canadiens right now, and I thought there were some really positive trends from their game against the Pittsburgh Penguins on Wednesday. They were the better team through 60 minutes. I thought they were the stronger team. They had better puck pressure, better puck pursuit, better just all-around play in that contest. They still are that kind of young team. They are one of the youngest teams in the NHL, and they still have yet to really figure out how to play with a lead, but that'll come in time, assuming that they're able to kind of get everything together from the top to the bottom. And I think that's something to look forward to in terms of what we're going to see in the development of this team. But there's one thing that's really kind of stood out to me of late, and that's the top line, Nick Suzuki, Cole Caufield, and Juraj Slafkovsky. There's been a lot of question marks about who is going to fit with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield, and it appears as though we finally found our answer. There was a long pause between Juraj Slafkovsky getting a chance on that top line and trying to find the misfits of what was being placed there in the past, whether that's Josh Anderson, whether that's Sean Monahan. I'm not to say Monahan didn't do a good job in that position, but you're seeing a different level with this line with Slafkovsky on it. Sure, the points haven't necessarily come yet for that line as a whole, but you can see the chemistry is there. You can see that they all complement each other really well, and you can kind of see, although the Montreal Canadiens weren't planning to have this necessarily as the reason they were selecting him first overall, you can see why that attractive skill set would be on the radar of the Montreal Canadiens to play alongside Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield in the future. And it looks as though Slafkovsky's finally ready for the challenge. You'd be hard-pressed to say that he has been the most consistent forward on the Montreal Canadiens over the last 5 games. He hasn't been putting up points over that stretch, but that's going to come once you take out the little bit of hesitancy that's still in his game. He's been shooting the puck a little bit more of late too, which is a promising trend, but he's honestly been carrying that line as a whole. Just in terms of consistency, he's been really good on the cycle down low at protecting the puck. But one thing that's really stood out to me with Slafkovsky's game of late has been his passing. His passing has been second to none. That's something that I think I took for granted when I was looking at his skill set when the Montreal Canadiens selected him first overall. I thought he was this big, heavy forward that used his shot really well and was a pure shooter. That's just not the case. He's a playmaker first, and he does a lot of good things with the puck, especially with his distribution. I think once you're able to get Cole Caufield and Nick Suzuki a little more in line in terms of with how Slafkovsky is thinking when he has the puck, you're going to start seeing it going in the net a little bit more, and that's something that you have to look forward to as a Montreal Canadiens fan. I think that right now, this is the line that is going to carry the Montreal Canadiens moving forward, and one that has the potential to be a future line and stick as well for this team in the future. I think that the Montreal Canadiens have been looking for that fixture, and they finally found it with Juraj Slafkovsky. I would keep this line together, even though they're not necessarily putting up points right now. I would keep them together for the rest of the season and continue to build off of what they've been building so far this year. I think that moving forward inside the organization, I don't really believe that there's someone inside the organization right now that fits this line long term besides Slafkovsky. And although there are free agent options out there that couldn't necessarily fit that bill, I don't believe they're going to be looking to fill that hole there. I think the depth is going to be a big selling point for what the Montreal Canadiens are building, and they're going to try to acquire a star in the next year or two, whether that comes in free agency or via trade. If you look at the depth on the back end right now for the Montreal Canadiens, there's too many bodies and not enough spots. They're going to be able to utilize their defensive depth to be able to acquire more scoring depth in the future, and that's something that you have to look forward to as well. So for right now, I believe that if you're going to ask me who's going to play with Cole Caufield and Nick Suzuki for the next 5 years, my answer would undoubtedly be Juraj Slafkovsky. That's it for me today from Cook's Corner. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what you've seen out of the Slafkovsky, Caufield, and Suzuki line so far, and if you think they should be kept together. I'm Zach Cook. We'll see you later.